No, like whoever, like it should be the same. Maybe because you guys are using two cameras, so let me do it.
Now, yes, I see you and R now. Yep.
Okay, so let me go live on the other one. We're live, but
Okay.
I'm going to adjust the other phone.
Okay.
Are we already live?
Yes. 1 second. Give people time to get in as well. Just trying to get this TikTok going. It's okay. Let me.
I need some of them glasses, Art. That's what I need. I need them glasses, Doc.
I need these so that I can. Yeah, I wear these glasses so I can see.
Reggie just needs them for style.
I'm blind.
Same here. I'm in the same boat. I just got the contacts.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm wearing these just like to look
To be cool.
I actually need these to
You
see.
can do both. You can do both.
I actually need these to see. What's interesting, the place that I go for glasses, they won't put the prescription in these. Right?
Why?
I have to go to a specialty place. I had to go to a specialty place to do it. They didn't want to do it because they said the frames were too expensive, so they didn't want to do it. I mean,
they were scared to break them or something.
I mean, I guess I don't know, but that was news to me. I never really heard that before.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, since we're going, I don't know what Marie's doing on that end.
I'm getting Instagram. TikTok live.
Oh.
Okay, we're live on TikTok.
We're live on TikTok and everything else.
All right.
Okay, so we're all set to go.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we'll see who joins us. We could go ahead and get started for the sake of time.
All right.
So I am, whoever doesn't know me, or who knows me, I'm Marie Howard. I'm one half of In Between the Speaks.
And I'm Art Howard, the other half of In Between the Speaks, licensed professional counselor in the great state of New Jersey, also Delaware, and also Georgia, and a 3-decade experience educator in the great state of New Jersey as well.
Okay. So a little bit about us. So we started In Between the Speaks. You want to tell them why?
Well, In Between the Speaks was started actually from Marie. She wanted to put together a venue for couples, whereas we can talk about issues, things that, successful couples have done in order to keep their relationship going, as well as jump into topics about things that often aren't like discussed amongst us, right? Now, if you look at our website, it says that we're not a perfect couple, but we're a real one. I guess our experience, besides the fact that I'm a licensed therapist, our experience really comes from having lots of challenges and then tackling those challenges and like remaining together. So we don't come on here trying to profess that we have like the perfect relationship, but we do say that any challenge can be tackled as long as you have the intention to make those issues that you have work through. It's not about perfection; it's about intention. That's what I tell my clients all the time. So that was kind of the emphasis of in between the speaks.
Yes, we went through a lot of challenges, and we are hopefully here to help others try to navigate. Like I said, we are not perfect, and we don't try to be. We don't pretend that we are. We still have issues like any other relationship we have, and we just attempt to work through them. And it helps that Art is a licensed therapist, and I do have a background in counseling as well. It's not practiced today, but I do have that. So let me see.
How are you doing? All right. So as we kind of move forward, we'll like to again welcome Dr. Wright and his lovely wife.
Beautiful wife.
Thank you.
I said lovely. I mean, that wasn't enough. We gotta. See what I mean? About issues and problems, kind of went up there. So for the folks out there who are listening, just tell us a little bit about yourselves, your history, your background.
Yep. I'll let you go first, Patrice.
All right. Well, Reggie and I have been together 23 years, married 21 years. We met in college playing basketball at the YMCA in Hamilton. We got married young, so we were 23 years old when we got married. We waited 6 years to have our first child. We have one son, Isaiah, who is about to be 15 years old.
Wow.
And yep. And so I don't know, Reggie, would you like to explain kind of how things projected to becoming Dr. Wright?
Well, first of all, you're giving out ages and dates.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's the first problem. Like,
nobody should be doing math. It's okay.
Yeah, well,
it's Sunday. We don't do math on Sundays.
Talk about that. You can't give out the age now. But yeah, so Patrice and I have a company, Reggie Wright Enterprise, three arms to the business. It's myself as a professional speaker, which I started out in the educational space as you know, Art. I started out speaking to students pretty much on character ed and SEL competencies and restorative practice. That kind of transitioned to me speaking to the educators and staff mainly. And now I do a lot of government along with education and corporate engagements. Patrice is the vice president of Reggie Wright Enterprise, so she really helps out a lot with the speaking side and the coaching side, where we coach aspiring speakers and she helps with the business formation. And then we have a concierge service where we help people in terms of just implementing and executing so they can focus on the things that really help them generate revenue. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what we do. We also have a real estate investment company, but that's more on the passive side of things. That has nothing to do with Reggie Wright Enterprise. Mm-hmm. But like she said, we've been together now 23 years. So thank God for his grace and his mercy.
Oh, we can't hear you, Marie.
You guys may be muted. You're muted. We can't hear you guys if you're talking.
Did you push a button?
Okay, yeah, I pushed the button. Since you're giving out years, we've been together for 18 years.
Okay.
And for Art and I, we are on our second marriage. We both were married previously, and we do have
everything.
We have 6 children, 5 adult sons, 1 daughter, and she's 9, and we have 4 grandchildren. Wow! So just so you're not alone with the numbers.
Thank you. We love that. Thank you.
We should have put that in kind of the script because I don't want people thinking that I'm that old. But
I know, but Patrice is just gonna let everybody know how old I am. Her and Isaiah is just no secret.
You should be proud of your age. It's a good thing. You look
be proud of my age. See, this is why we need counseling, right?
Our age.
Well, hey, look, every year above ground is better than being in a year below ground.
That's true, 100%.
That's why I tell folks. And just for some trivia out there, we all go to the same church.
Mm-hmm.
right? We're all members of the same church, under the expert leadership of Dr. Darius Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Wright, Reggie, has spoken at my school, my district, several times. It's like a celebrity there. Kids be running.
You're like a celebrity there. I'm just trying to fit in.
They'd be late for class, trying to get an autograph. I'm like, this guy like a celebrity here. Well,
hey, listen, I appreciate you, brother. You know that from the bottom of my heart.
yeah, no doubt, and I appreciate you as well. So as we move forward, and this is something that I do a lot of counseling with couples, and one of the first things that I normally ask them is that I believe every couple has their little own love story, right? How they met, So I would be interested to hear how you guys came into existence. I know Patrice gave me a little bit about it, about you guys playing basketball. She's probably dunking on you, but I'm not going to say anything about that. But every couple has their love story, and every couple has that that moment where they're thinking like, yeah, this is the one that I'm going to lock it down with. So,
yeah.
What's yours?
I guess the question is, which story do you want?
I was going to say we have two versions.
Yeah. Do you want Patrice's story or do you want the truth? Which one do you want?
Wow. Already. We starting already.
You got Patrice's story, then you have the actual truth. So it may be Patrice's truth, but I'm just...
Well, it just veers off at one particular detail. But so technically, we met on a Monday, June 9th, at the YMCA. I would typically go do my weight training first and then go in the gym and do my basketball drills because I played basketball in college as well. But that day I happened to walk in and I saw this fine young man in the gym shooting hoops. So I was like, you know what, let me go do my basketball first today. I was just putting myself in a position to be seen instead of doing the weight training first. So I went in there and I was shooting on the side basket because he was on the main basket and someone else was at the other main basket. So the story drifts where he said that my ball kept rolling onto his court and it was getting on his nerves. So that's why he asked me to come over and shoot with him instead of chasing my ball. My girl, he thought I was cute, and that's why he asked me to come onto his court. But either way, with that detail or not, we after shooting around together that day, I think we did weight training together. We decided to meet again every day when I would get off work. We would meet at the gym and work out again. And then that Friday, we went on our first date at Ruby Tuesdays on Route 1. I kind of knew that day. I was like, at that first date, I was like, I think this one has potential. So I was sold.
I had potential, Art. Potential.
Yes. He was a godly man who at a young age, it was just refreshing to find because at that age, number one, I was raised a little bit in the church and kind of had some experience, but I wouldn't say I wasn't saved yet. And so when I first met him, I was interested in Christianity and in knowing Jesus. And so I was kind of like on my way, and he was already a believer. And so that made me feel safe and also made me feel like that would be a good man to pursue or be pursued by. And so it all worked out. But one funny thing is he was like, well, whoever I date, she has to go to church. And I'm like, I can do that. But then he wanted to like pray every night on the phone. So initially, since I wasn't really saved yet, I was practicing my prayers and what I was going to say so it would sound good. But then by the end of the summer, I remember I was actually praying to God, and it wasn't any longer trying to impress Reggie. So the Lord did a whole work on my soul that summer. So by the time I went back to school for my senior year, I was a new creation. But Reggie had a lot to do with it, and God used him. So grateful for him.
That's awesome. So you remember dates, specific dates? Do you remember the date we met?
Uh-oh.
You're interviewing them.
And actually, you met each other 2 days after my birthday. I just got to throw that in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look at that. Look at God.
Yeah, well, how far off from that story, Reggie, is what? Because it sounds like a beautiful one to me. You know?
And I want to check your camera.
Yeah, the story is pretty accurate. The difference to me is this: she did come into the gym. She's right about that, and she was shooting. What happened is that I was shooting on the main basket, and Patrice was shooting on the side basket. Art.
I said
And Patrice, this is what happened. And Patrice kept missing. And when she would make it every once in a while. She made a decent amount, but when she would miss, the ball would come into the main section where I was shooting. So I'm like, your ball just keeps like interrupting my rhythm. So instead of like me keep giving you the ball back every time it bounces over, why don't you just come over here and we just work out together? So that my thing was like, just be honest that you were happy to come over and be able to work out with me.
no one ever said I wasn't. I'm just saying you didn't give the correct detail of how I ended up on your court.
But she thinks I ended up on her court because she thinks I invited her to come to the main court because she was cute. And I'm like, yes, you were cute, but the main reason was you was also interrupting my workout.
Okay, let's just do it's both together. Both and.
Come in. We're coming in.
Yeah, well,
You met. You're married.
Either way, it worked.
Two things can be going on at the same time.
See, yes, true. They're both true.
So it's the cuteness and the irritation that your ball can roll into my finger.
Yeah.
All right, so
I call it God's providence. Look at that.
that's lovely. That's lovely. Also, I don't think we said this in the beginning. Reggie and Patrice are going to be two of the people who are going to be hosting some of the stuff for us at our retreat, the Royal Connection. And of course, you'll get to see these good people live and in person. And, besides being just phenomenal people, they're good friends of ours. So I think that you should all come out and actually see them. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight was really we're looking about where faith, love, laughter kind of all align, together. Things that keep couples together.
The right connection.
The right connection. That's it. I love it. The right connection.
I'm gonna have to trademark that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So tell us, what's the principle that you both live by that keeps your marriage grounded, even when life gets busy? Because these cats don't know, but I know that these dudes are busy. They're flying all over the place. They're everywhere all the time. So how do you guys stay grounded?
You want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Look how she threw that back on me. You can go first.
Yep.
So when I say staying grounded, Art, Marie, this is the way I answer that. I think about everything that the Lord has allowed us to do is a gift that comes from Him.
Mm-hmm.
So all gifts come from the giver. Therefore, we should really admire the giver more than the gifts. Right. So for an example, obviously we have Isaiah and he's 14, about to be 15 now. But even when he was a young kid, I was always trying to help him understand as a youngster that during Christmas season, there's gifts under the tree. But someone worked, someone purchased, someone provided those gifts under that tree. Mm-hmm. When you first get that gift, the first thing you should do is not just open it and be excited about the gift, but you should pause and give thanks to the giver of that gift. Mm-hmm. So when I think about everything that we're doing in life right now, I think about these are all gifts that come from God. So therefore, let us always pause and give Him the honor and the glory that He's due, truly, because apart from Him, we wouldn't be able to do any things that we do.
That's beautiful.
Facts.
So I was going to say for us too, I feel like, sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it might be in the evening, but we kind of have a rhythm of a scripture that we give Isaiah, but it's like us as a family, we kind of have a scripture memorization and a devotional every morning on the way to school and kind of review it later in the evening. So that's one of the things that kind of staying focused on Christ that way together to keep us grounded in that. And I just feel like just making sure that lines of communication are open and that we touch base, because sometimes we're in different states depending on what day of the week it is, and staying connected that way.
Or countries.
Yeah.
That is true.
And we didn't mention you are an international speaker.
Yeah, yeah. We just came from DR last week. I had a speaking engagement in DR, so in Punta Cana. So that was a quite a bit of an experience. We enjoyed ourselves. Grateful for the opportunity.
Good.
That's great. That's great. So, how do you kind of balance your individual purpose with your shared purpose as a couple? Because, I mean, each of you have your own individual strengths, right? But somewhere in the recipe, those strengths have to align together in order for you to be able to stay together, because you don't want to be like two ships like drifting in the night. So, how do you balance that?
Yeah.
I would say I feel like really honing in and understanding what the other person is really good at, what their strengths are, and recognizing that I don't need to be him. I don't need to have the same strengths he has, because the good things that I can do balance out the great things that he can do as well. So I think just keeping that in perspective to kind of, I can't make him me and he can't make me him, and always remembering that.
Yeah. So I think for me, Art, I think about the quote, and I'll say the quote first and explain what I mean by it. So there's a quote, and I don't know who it originated from, so I don't want to take credit for this. That's one of the key things, right? But the quote states that the worst thing we can do is become a public success, but a private failure, right? So when I think about me as an individual, I think about, okay, me as, as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a speaker, as a coach, as a father, as a husband. Like, those are individual components of make up who I am. But ultimately, like you said, when it comes to Patrice and I, it's like, okay, well, I can be great at all those things. But when it comes to my home life, if I'm a private failure, have I really achieved success? I haven't, right? Especially in the eyesight of God. So for me, it's about, okay, I want to maximize the potential that God has given me to excel in these areas, but I don't want to forsake the home as well. So I'm trying to do the best I can to have that balance and that rhythm so that I excel in both areas. And it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. We all know that, because we're not perfect people. But every day I'm trying to be transformed more and more into that person that can excel professionally and personally.
So I love that's individualized authenticity, and you hold yourselves accountable. And so you do like a self inventory of what you're doing and seeing how that aligns with Christ. You live your life. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's really important. It's so easy to get diverted by the day to day of what you have to do. You know, I mean, like, I have a busy schedule. Marie has a busy schedule. So life, one of the things that our pastor says that I always chuckle about. He says, "Life keeps lifing."
So true.
It keeps going. You know what I mean? And and it's not just the responsibility, like Richie said, of being a husband and just a black man in this world,
Right.
but it's being a father and also modeling what you want other people to see. You know what I mean? Like Pastor Daniels always say, like, you should be able to see God in me by my actions and my moves. So that's something it's not really easy to maintain that, because the devil's busy. And it's easier to be a mess than it is to walk the path.
That's so true.
And to have company too, right? I think that saying is true. Misery loves company. You can find people that would join you in misery.
Yes, so true.
And people who would love to see you, like, kind of destroyed.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting. But kind of getting back on topic, we were talking like earlier. Marie and I were having a vivid discussion about like communication. Vivid discussion. We have that's code for like, what are you talking about? Right? We were having a vivid discussion about communication and the struggles that couples have with communications. So, like, what's one thing that that's the right, quote quote, the right way, so that you can transform the way that you talk, so that you each are hearing each other, that you're not talking over each other, that you're making sure that what you're saying is being actually heard, understood, and kind of absorbed by the other person. How do you guys tackle that?
Mhm. I think one of the things that I try to do, not that I always do it perfectly, but like when he's saying something to me, trying to not think about what I'm gonna say back as he's speaking, but try to really focus on what he's saying. And I think for both of us, when we first got married, that was one of the things we said is that we don't yell at each other. So like if something is a little heated or there's some frustration, maybe we need to walk away for a few minutes to cool off and then come back together to talk. But because for me, I can't hear if someone yells at me, and he doesn't want to be yelled at either. So that's one of our like agreements is we're going to talk to each other calmly and civilly, and trying our best to hear each other before starting to think through how we'll respond to it.
Yeah.
It don't always work perfect, but we try.
That's good because if you're yelling, you really can't hear.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. I think for me, in regards to effective communication, the thing that I've consistently been working on throughout the course of our marriage is being able to identify and manage my emotions. Right. So if something does bother me or trigger me, it gets me upset, like I have to be able to stop and like think before I react. Right. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. But like Patrice has said, like it's better for me to stop, just like pause, think, gather myself, have that emotional intelligence, and then like try to speak to her. Because it's not easy. I mean, again, we've been together since we were 21 years old, so we've been together a long time. So we've kind of grown up together. But I remember a pastor, and I don't remember who he. I could see his face, but I don't remember his name. But I remember a pastor saying to me when we like first got married, he's like, the easiest thing to do is to use your words to tear down somebody that's close to you. But you couldn't say that same thing to somebody that wasn't close to you. And that thing really like it stuck with me because what he was saying was like, if she wasn't your wife and she wasn't close to you, would you talk to a stranger like that? You wouldn't. So if you wouldn't talk to a stranger like that, then definitely don't talk to your wife like that. Right. So and that really stuck with me because it's like when you think about like treat your wife the way that Christ, treated his bride, the church, it's a really important thing. And it's not always easy in the moment, but it's an important thing for me to constantly be thinking about.
I mean, that's interesting because that's one of the things that I talk to a lot of my clients about. Because one of their comments always is like, yeah, my wife or my husband treats the people at work better than they treat me. And, it's the brain is like an amazing thing. And it's the emotional investment that you have in the person that you're in relationship with that enables you to show them that side that's not so great. I'm not going to do that to somebody who I don't know. Right? I don't have any emotional investment in them. Yeah. But you, my wife, my partner, my friend, you should know this upsets me. And when you don't know it upsets me, that upsets me even more.
Because it seems like you don't care at that point.
Right. But it's really not that. It's just, but that's the kind of the recipe that the mind tells you. And it's a protective measure. Believe it or not, it's a protective measure.
Yes.
To stop you from receiving more frustration, more hurt, more this, more that, because you got an emotional investment in that person. That's why you tend to treat people who you're close to worse than you treat like strangers.
Yeah.
And the other thing with that too is you don't share like vulnerable pieces of your life with strangers. Like you have bills, you have children, you have family. And that's not something that the others see or experience. They may see you ha ha he and with the people, but what is the work going on in the background? They don't see that. And that is something that needs to be protected within a relationship. And just so people who are listening, it does happen in every relationship. So don't think that because somebody is on camera and the reels are going, that life is just perfect and they're not having vivid discussions. But life happens and, but like they said, you're mature. You know you have some tools that you use. They know how to not take it so far. It doesn't get escalated. You're able to talk things out. So I love it.
Yeah, but that's the great relationship myth that people believe that the best relationships have zero conflict, which is actually not true. How you navigate the conflict that you have. Like you argue every other day, but if at the end of those arguments you have a more clearer understanding, more empathetic kind of view of the person that you're sitting across from, that you come to some kind of a conclusion that not only satisfies your need but satisfies the need of your partner, then that was a successful conversation. It's not conflict. People think that having no conflict equates great relationships, but things aren't really congruent. Which brings me to the next thing, like disagreements in relationships. How do you guys handle disagreements in a way that strengthens your relationship rather than makes you want to take a bat and just put a hole through a wall somewhere?
Yeah, I think for me, if it's okay if I answer first, Patrice. I think for me, I didn't have a healthy example. I wouldn't say it was. I don't want to like. So first of all, I was raised by my grandmother, right? So my grandmother, my grandfather in a home together. But when I was a young adolescent, my grandmother was married to my biological grandfather, and there was true dysfunction there. So I grew up in a home where there was a lot of yelling, screaming, cursing, domestic violence, all that kind of stuff. My grandmother divorced my biological grandfather and married the man that I call Papa C today, who I consider to be my grandfather. When he came into my life, I saw a different version of manhood. He was patient, he was calm. I could see when he was visually upset, but to your point, Art, I would always watch how he handled conflict. So the conflict resolution was the complete opposite from my biological grandfather. But my grandmother still would fly off she would fly off the cuff. She was all of fire. She was, because that's kind of how she grew up, right? So it was just in her nature. But he was just the opposite, right? So kind of like the retreat we went to, right? Patrice, it was like she was a tiger and he was a turtle. Is that what they use? Tiger and turtle?
Tiger and turtle, yep.
My grandma was like the tiger and he was like the turtle. But he wasn't in the home much because he worked 2 jobs Monday through Friday. So I really only saw glimpses on the weekends. It wasn't until I was around 2021 when I actually met my mentor and lived with him. My mentor was Charlie Ward, and lived with him throughout the summer of my junior and senior in college, where I actually saw a husband and wife, because I lived with them day in and day out. So I had a chance to see what conflict resolution looked like. That is what has helped me now still trying to grow into what I was able to observe or see displayed from them, which was a healthy version of, let's talk this out. Let's be patient. Let's be forbearing. Let's love each other in the way that we respond to each other, even in the midst of adversity. It's hard, but I didn't have a clear picture of that when I was a young kid. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does.
It does. I mean, I can concur. I was raised by my grandmother as well, and I love that he passed. Of course, my grandmother is not still with us.
Yeah,
she was a tough little old lady.
Yeah.
She wasn't a hugger, and I tell this story sometimes when I do speeches to for graduation and stuff. The first time my grandmother ever hugged me, literally hugged me, was when I graduated from college. That was the only time that little old lady actually hugged me, because she wasn't like a hugger. But you got to remember the era that she grew up in. It was like she was born in 1914. So they weren't all lovey-dovey. They're trying not to get lynched, back then. So she had a hard exterior. And when she got older, it was funny. I would take my friends to go see her, and they're like, "Oh, your grandma's so sweet." I'm like, "Yeah, she's sweet now." But I can imagine how this little old lady was in her prime.
Yeah.
She was a high whooper with me in her 60s. So I can imagine what she was like in her prime. But I never doubted that the little old lady loved me, because in the winter of her life, she decided to take on a 9-month-old.
Mm.
By no stretch of the imagination can I understand why this lady did that. Because I grew up in Newark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Impoverished. Like you look up poverty in the dictionary, and it's got a picture of me in there when I was growing up in Newark. And I still to this day don't understand why the woman really did it, because it was not something that she had to do, but something that she did. So her methods of raising me, although and nowadays it would land her in federal prison, but back in the day, she was doing what she felt she had to do in order to make sure I survived. And she's the one that really got me into church. I was going to church, first by force by my grandmother, but when I became an adult, it was something that was just natural for me. Like I was always in church, you know what I mean? Even before I changed church, I was a member of Union Baptist Church.
Okay.
Yeah, Union Baptist Church in Trenton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And faith, believing in God, praying, all that stuff was things that just were things that I would do. But I know faith plays a big part in helping you guys navigate challenges and stuff. So, before we get to the end, I want you to tell our viewers how faith has helped you navigate through challenges in life and stuff like that.
So I will say for me, because you may not see on here, or maybe you can tell, but I am more of an introvert. I don't usually talk as much. I'm more on the reserved side and quiet side. But even when we have disagreements, sometimes I may not say a lot always in the moment, but a lot of times I take that to praying for him and asking God to help. Like maybe I'm wrong today. Maybe it's me and I need to fix something in me. Or maybe Reggie's being stubborn and I can't change him. I can't fix him, but all I can do is pray for God, because God's the one who can get to his heart. So I think for me in my faith walk, that's a big thing of always staying connected to God and knowing that he knows both Reggie and I more than we know ourselves, and we're his children, so he loves us and wants to see us flourish and wants to see us grow and for things to be great for us. So letting him deal with me and him deal with Reggie, and so praying, I think just a constant life of prayer is what's really important.
You're not saying God get him?
No,
she did call me stubborn though. She said she said that in there. I just want you to know that she called me. Like, for the listeners, I want y'all to listen. Leave that in there.
I definitely did not.
In a loving way.
If I would have said that, it'd be a problem. If I said that.
I said first that if he needs to fix something in me, to fix
but if Reggie's just being stubborn,
pray for him, Lord.
Pray for him. Yeah.
Help him, Jesus.
Take the wheel. Oh man. So how's faith? Again, I think it's just an intricate part of who I am. Like you said, Art. My grandmother, even though she was a ball of fire, she just insisted that I go to church. Mm-hmm. And I think just how I was raised, growing up in the city of Trenton, through the 80s and the 90s, I really felt like it was nobody else other than God that really helped me get through. Because when I think back, even when I was young, and I would just think back to the people I grew up with on my block, a lot of those people have been in jail, in prison, on drugs, locked up, dead, whatever the case may be. And I know it's nothing besides the grace of God that has helped me make it through. So when I think about our marriage and I think about how we've been able to coexist, two different individuals that God has brought together over the span of 23 years is nothing but faith in him, right? Because when times get hard, when things have been difficult, and they have been at different points throughout our marriage, it's been our faith in him that has kept us together, because we made a vow. We made a vow to through thick and thin, through the good and bad, through the rough seasons. And Patrice she's been consistent. I give her credit. Patrice has always been consistent. But it's just our faith in God. That's listen. We want to honor Him, and we want to, as you said, Art before. We want to do the best we can to model it for our son. To the best of our ability. And sometimes we fall short. But through faith and through the grace of God and His mercies are new each and every day, that's what keeps us going. I know it's what keeps me going.
And I was also just going to add on, like being forgiving of one another and asking each other for forgiveness, and then also granting that when it's asked, and not holding on to things the same way that I don't want God holding on to my mess, and my mistakes is the same way that I want to be forgiven by Reggie, or the same way that I also want to forgive him as well.
Yeah, and she has, and I think her faith has helped her to be very forgiving towards me, and vice versa. Because when you've been together this long, like there's times you look back and you're like, man, like I wish I didn't say that or do that or respond that way. And it's hard because in life you can't get those things back. But if someone truly forgives you, and they don't bring it back up all the time. And that's the one thing about Patrice is like she truly has a heart of forgiveness, and I am extremely grateful for that. I will never deny that. Like she is great.
That's good. And I know that Art, he has a saying too, what we both do, that you continually say yes, to your marriage, to your relationship, and being that example for not just your son, but for your family and others that are watching you.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that the pastor Darius had introduced me to, which I just thought about when you guys were saying, life be lifing, yes, but we only understand it. Although we live it going forward, we only understand it going backwards. And I looked that actually up, and the philosopher from 18 whatever that actually wrote a whole book on that. It's just so true. It's like hindsight has always been 2020. Always 2020. And if I could be the person who I was 20 years ago with the knowledge I have now, I'd be a billionaire. You know what I mean? But we operate in a time frame that we understand in that moment. So we beat ourselves up so much about, man, I should have did this. You did the best you could. You made the choice that you made in the time frame where you are right now. So don't beat yourself up about it. Learn from those mistakes and then try to move forward. But we constantly, like, nobody has to really attack me about anything. I'm my biggest critic all the time, right? Because I always think that I could be better, do better, especially for my daughter. You know what I mean? I want to be better and do better for her, and I beat myself up a lot. But I always got to try to remember that, hindsight is 2020. We live life moving forward. We only understand it going backwards. You know what I mean? And speaking of living life going forward, we got the Royal Connection coming up in what's the month? March
13th
right?
to 15th.
And
Hyatt Regency.
And like I said, you're going to see these two beautiful people
in Princeton, New Jersey. Look it up.
You'll see these beautiful
That's
people.
it.
So just kind of tell the people why you guys said yes to being a presenter at this event, and what you're going to bring to the Royal Connection. So
Yep. I'm gonna go first, Patrice.
Sure. So I think for me saying yes, number one, we love Art and Marie, and they've just been such a wonderful couple in our lives and great friends to us. And as soon as they told us about this event, we were on board right away. What can we do? How can we help? And even if we weren't speaking, we would just be there attending because we want to support anything and everything that they do. For me personally, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but my former life before being VP for Reggie Wright Enterprise, I also did health and wellness coaching and personal training. And so with having expertise in training, physical fitness, nutrition, all of those things. So that's one of the things that I'll be on a panel discussing. So always happy and excited to talk about that, as well as anything dealing with business. And that's my answer. Go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, so I said yes to the Royal Connection, obviously, like Patrice said, based on our relationship with you guys, but then also just the mission and heart behind what you're doing, and bringing couples together. I believe it's so important for us as couples to be in close proximity to other people that are not just married, but they're really trying to live out life in a way that's pleasing to God, right? So it's one thing to have literally to have that vertical relationship, but it's also important to have the correct horizontal relationships as well. We don't know everything there is to know, but we have been at this now for 21 years married and 23 years together. So I do believe we have some valuable nuggets that we can actually drop that will provide an extreme amount of value to the people that will be attending. And I just believe that everyone that's going to be in attendance, all of the speakers and just people in general, we can all learn from each other. As the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. So that's not gender specific. It means that we can all learn from each other and sharpen each other like a two-edged sword. So I think it's important for us to be in close proximity. And there's nothing like having a conference in person when you get a chance to rub elbows and just walk, smile and laugh and have a good time. And remember why you said I do. Even when times get hard, you need these memories to really make you remember why you love the person that's across from you.
And I just want to add this, that it's not just for couples. If you are dating or if you're even thinking about being in a relationship, this is the place to be for you to be prepared, to get prepared for that life partner.
Yeah.
And I just recently heard this quote from somebody, and I think it was, I think it was off of a cartoon. the dude said, if you remember your why, you'll always figure out your how.
That's wisdom in a kid's cartoon.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, well, I had to write that down. I was like,
that was
pretty deep for a cartoon.
My man Art said it, but he said it came from a cartoon, y'all. I just want y'all to know that.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. Like, if you remember your why, you always figure out how you're going to get it done. If I know what my why is, why am I doing this? I'll figure out the how, as long as I know the why. You know what I mean? And we hope that the Royal Connection will remind people of what their why is, why you got in this in the first place. So if you're dealing with anything, remember your why. You figure out how to get through it. But remember why you in it in the first place. You know what I mean? Which is profoundly deep for me from a philosophical level. And I got a degree in psychology, not philosophy, but that's tremendously deep from a philosophical level.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, Art, because I feel like as an athlete, I played basketball. I didn't mention, but I played basketball in New York for several years. And as an athlete, there's days when you don't feel like going to practice. There's days when you just don't have it. There's days when you're tired. There's days when you're sick. But if you have some good teammates, those teammates would pick you up when you're feeling down. Those teammates will encourage you to keep going, to keep pushing through. They will encourage you to be resilient. They'll make sure you understand the importance of being gritty. And that's the same thing I believe we need in our relationships, right? We need other couples around us that can say, hey, listen, you may be going through something. Come on over, let's talk. You may be going through something. Just pick up the phone. I'm only a phone call away. Like, people shouldn't feel like they have to go through relationships, marriage, engagements, dating, whatever it may be, in isolation. We shouldn't have to. We should feel like we have a team of people, because there's strength in numbers, right? And there's joy in being around other people that can really pick you up and help you walk through those difficult moments so that you don't give up.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was one of the whys for me. Like I said, this is my second marriage, and in my first marriage, like, I learned that it's not good to talk to people about your information, right? You have to be careful of who you say what to, and that's something that I didn't watch growing up. What I watched growing up was totally different. I watched women being vulnerable with other women, and they're protecting each other, and they're there for each other, and they're talking through the issues, and not necessarily giving advice, but just supporting them, right? And no one ever said leave. Like, no one ever said leave. So now in the second marriage, my last marriage, I just want others to know that there is community, that it is okay to be able to talk to people about what you need. You know, if you need help, they say some of the strongest people are the ones who need the most help.
Hmm.
So reach out. Like if you're a woman, like for me, my heart is with the women. Like if you're a woman, you know, reach out to another woman, you know, just to have somebody to lean on and just to know that, hey, you're not in this alone.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And I want to add one more thing. I think the other thing too is for us to remember, like one of the greatest investments that we can make is in ourselves. And
Hmm.
it's the same thing in a relationship, right? So like the royal connection is about investing in ourselves as couples.
Yes.
Right? So it's better to come to a weekend where you can invest in yourselves as a couple, be around other couples that can strengthen your relationship, then look back and have regret, because that regret would be painful. But it's a wonderful thing when you're investing in your future. And think about it, like we're trying to create a legacy as couples that's going to last for generation upon generation. So I think there's nothing better than coming to a conference like or a retreat like the Royal Connection, where you really can be connected with other couples, because there's strength in that, right? It's like links of a chain. There's strength when you're connected to each other.
Yeah.
And it's not just conferences, it's going to be fun too, because on Friday night we do have a comedy show by Jamaican G, hilarious. And we also have the Royal Ball, so on Saturday. So excellent.
Yeah. Get to get dressed up. Get to get dressed up. I like that. Dressed up, do our boots on the ground, Cupid shuffle.
About Cupid Shuffle.
The fans. Bring your fans.
Bring y'all fans now. I just learned to dance, so we definitely gonna do it.
You're gonna be out there doing the fans, brother. I'm not doing it. I'll be sitting there cheering you on as you're flying.
Whatever you want. You sit there. I'm gonna be out there with my fan, brother.
But all right, but as we wrap this up, is there any one last minute word that you want to tell to our listeners out there, either about any of the topics that we talked about or anything, some nugget of jewel of wisdom that you want to just install upon these people?
Reggie, you go first.
I like how she let me go first while she think. Any nugget, I think for me, just one of the things is just, understanding a relationship and marriage, you have to be resilient. You really have to be resilient. That's the one thing that comes to my mind. And when I say resilient, like the ability to bounce back from adversity, obstacles, and challenges. And what allows you to bounce back is what you just said, Art, like remembering your why, remembering why you married this person, why you got engaged, why you're dating this person. And, to actually see the good in that person. That I think is oftentimes, even for me, like it's easy to highlight where someone may upset you or bother you or trigger you. But we also need to really pause and thank God and have a level of gratitude for that person that God has placed into our life. Because for me, it's important to think about what would life be like without Patrice, right? Where would I be? Like I've been able to do the things that I'm able to do and get to this place in life because she supported me, right? And she believed in me and supported me when others did not. Right. So when you think about my ability to be resilient is because I had somebody that was next to me that was also resilient. The way that she fleshes out her resiliency may look different to me. She may be quiet and reserved, but she's strong. When other people were doubting me, she believed in me. When other people told her she was crazy for leaving her job to come with me overseas, she did it anyway because she had a deep belief in me, which means that she believed that I could lead us and lead us well and lead us the way that Christ has called us to lead. So I would just encourage, any couple out there that's married to be resilient. Those that may be dating or engaged, to be around some other couples that really can help you, mentor you, give you the support and guidance that you need. And if you do that, you set yourself up for a healthy, not perfect, but a healthy relationship. Because it's not about perfection. It's just about doing the best you can to have a healthy relationship.
So I will say, kind of piggybacking off of one of the things I mentioned earlier regarding praying for the other person, but just in general, constantly praying for them, especially when they may be doing things, not that I'm saying Reggie's getting on my nerves, but when someone may be doing something that's getting under your skin or frustrating you, and you may feel like, I don't feel like praying for that person right now, but do it anyway, because when you're praying for someone, it's usually kind of hard to be angry and mad at them while you're praying for them at the same time. So number one, it helps you, but then number two, also helping that person and your relationship in general. And I think one of the greatest things for us has been finding couples that you can have fun with, and date nights, and going out, and making sure that the same things that you did when you were dating before you got married, that you don't forget that once you get married and have kids, and date night happens once a quarter or something like that, but making it consistent and often. And it doesn't have to be expensive. You can watch Netflix and make a bowl of popcorn. You don't have to, go to Ruth Chris or something like that. You can have a cheap date at home. So just making sure that the spirit of dating, those same things that you were doing when you met each other, that you continue those. That's my advice.
Alexa off. Sorry about that. But so that reminded me too of what not only are we under the tutelage, I'm sorry, my tongue tied, of Pastor Darius Daniels, but also Pastor Shamika Daniels. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing when we started at Change Church, we were actually it was Kingdom Church at the time. Mm-hmm. And they had these intimate boot camps. They still had the boot camps, but this was more intimate. And it was with both of them, Pastor Darius, and Pastor Shamika. And I brought that topic up. Like, what if he's doing something? I don't think he's doing it correctly. Mm-hmm. And she said, it doesn't matter. You do what you're supposed to do. You do what's right, because it's biblical. And it's not about him. It's about you doing what's right.
Right. Go ahead, Pastor. That's what I said. We got to go to this church. Hallelujah, God. I done found you over here.
Speaking your love language, right?
Pastor, tell him. But thank you guys. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you for saying yes to doing this for us, and spending an hour sitting here chopping it up with us about the Royal Connection, about how you guys met, and about what we're trying to do with this whole in between the speaks things. It's very much appreciated. We love you guys intently.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about the Royal Connection, go to www.inbetweenthespeaks.com, and you'll find all the information there. So Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. We love you guys. We're so grateful for you.
And we party in March.
Yes. March 13th to 15th. The Hyatt Regency in Princeton, New Jersey. Yes. You have to be there. It's an event that you don't want to miss.
Yes. All right. Bye. Good night.
All right. Be blessed.
All right.